How can you get actors to share the same stage, even though they're thousands of miles apart? Well, obviously there's some sort of tech solution to this, and we're now going to have Dr. Tom Gorman come down and speak a few words before the performance. Tom? Oh, here we go.
Hiding backstage. If we could just go back to the screen, because I'm going to be joined by Dr. Mikko Kanninen from the University of Tampere, our collaborator in the project. So if you could, and here he is. And I've actually just done some Googling, and they're, as the crow flies, 4,875 miles away from us at the moment, according to Google Maps. I'll quickly introduce what we're going to see. This is a project we've been working on now. This is the third year of its incarnation. It's an online international learning project, a collaboration between the University of Tampere, the theatre department over there, and the theatre course at Coventry University. We started with Coriolanus. We were in a wind tunnel. Tampere were in a theatre studio, and then last year it was King Lear. We're going to show 2 scenes from King Lear today. And this year we collaborated with the University of the Arts, the Theatre Academy in Helsinki, as well as the University of Gothenburg in Sweden on Shakespeare's Twelfth Night. I'm going to let Mikko talk, because otherwise he's just going to stand on the screen looking at me.
Hello, everybody. Hello. We have a bit different weather here this morning. It's 7:40 here, and it's -12 outside, and a lot of snow. So, but I have to say to Tom that we're happy to be here with you and to present our work we've done online with King Lear. So I'll let you go, Tom.
Okay.
Continue.
And we should very quickly. We're just going to do something, because this the problem that we face when you try and do any type of performance using the internet is that normal applications like Skype and FaceTime and Google Hangouts, they're fantastic for some things, but they're very inadequate for trying to rehearse together. And we've been using this as a rehearsal tool to explore scenes. But we also use apps. We use Adobe Connect. We set up rehearsal rooms for students. They can all work together in those. We use Facebook to kind of transmit information really quickly. What does it look like on this side? To schedule it. And also to kind of build the idea of a digital community, because a rehearsal is much more than just standing in a room rehearsing. There are coffee breaks. There are, even on one occasion, a virtual beer, where students actually took the apps out drinking. But this is how you build a kind of virtual community, and how actors can have some kind of relationship between each other when they work together. Because when you work together in actuality, you spend a lot of time building trust amongst a company. Anything you want to add before we see the scene? I just want to do one little quick thing, because one of the problems we always face is latency. So we're going to do a thing that we always do to test latency, called a clap test. So I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, and I want everybody in the room to clap, and Mikko's going to clap at the same time as you, so you can actually see the latency difference between the 2 spaces. Okay, everybody, 1, 2, 3. See what we mean? So there's about a second latency between it. Before we start, can I ask you to remember that this is a live performance? These guys can see you. Craig, can you quickly flip the camera around? So this is actually what the Finnish side will see. Eventually. Am I standing? I'm standing in the way, actually. So yeah, so they can see you. They're trying to remember blank verse. So remember that the actors in Finland are live and can see you and see those actors. This is not our usual system. We usually use rear projection. We usually use mic it up in a way that the speakers are behind the screen, so that the voice appears to be coming from the actor. And usually they're much smaller. The Finns will appear very giant today. But they're much higher up, and the idea is to, when the actors work together, they actually have the illusion of eye contact. But I'll stop talking. I think at the end, if we have any time, you can ask the actors, you can ask Mikko some questions about what you've just seen. But I will stop talking now, and we'll have some acting.
Sarah, we'll teach thee a speech.
Marcus, uncle, have more than thou showest.
Speak less than thou knowest.
Lend less than thou owest.
Write more than thou goest.
Learn more than thou drawest.
Set less than thou throwest.
Leave thy drink and thy whore.
And keep in a door. And thou shalt have more than 2/10 to a score.
Why, this is nothing, fool.
Then, since like the breath of an on-fee lawyer, you gave me nothing forth. Can you make no use of nothing? None call.
Why, no, lads, nothing can be made of nothing. Catcaranari.
Dost thou know the difference, my boy, between a bitter fool
And a sweet fool.
No, lads, teach me.
Thou that canst not be to give away thy land, come placing here by me, do thou for him to stand. The sweet and bitter fool will presently appear. The one sigma is here, the other found out their head.
Dost thou call me a fool, boy?
All thy other titles thou hast given away that thou was born with.
Give me an egg, nuncle, and I'll give thee 2 crowns.
And which 2 crowns shall they be?
Why, after I have cut the egg in the middle and eat up the meat, the 2 crowns of the egg.
When thou clovest thy crown in the middle and gavest away both parts, thou borest thy ass on the back of the dirt.
Thou hadst little wit in thy bald crown when thou gavest thy golden one away. Prithee, nuncle, keep a schoolmaster that can teach thy fool to lie. I would fain learn to lie.
Yes. Sirrah, we'll have you whipped.
Oh, I marvel what kin thou and thy daughters are. Thou'lt have me whipped for speaking true, thou'lt have me whipped for lying, and sometimes I am whipped for holding my peace. I had rather be any kind of thing than a fool, and yet I would not be thee, nuncle. Thou hast paid thy wit o' both sides, and left nothing in the middle.
What are the parents? What are the parents? What are the parents?
Oh, now, daughter, methinks you are too late to the frown. What makes that from the Tom?
Come, sir.
Thou was the pretty fellow.
Not only, sir, these your all-licensed fools, but other of your insolent retinue do hourly carp and quarrel, breaking forth in rank and not to be endured riots. Sir, I had thought by making this well known unto you to have found a safe redress, but now grow fearful by what yourself too late have spoken done, that you protect this cause and put it on by your allowance. Now, the necessity will call discreet proceeding.
Thou wast a pretty fellow when thou hadst only to care for her frowning. Now thou art, without a figure. I am better than thou art now. I am a fool, thou art nothing. Yes, forsooth, I will hold my tongue so your face beats me, though you say nothing. Mum. Oh, that's not weary of all.
Not only, sir, these your all-licensed fools, but other of your insolent retinue, I do hourly carp and quarrel, breaking forth in rank and not to be endured riots, sir. I thought by making this one unto you to find a safe redress, but now grow fearful by what yourself too late have spoken done, that you protect this cause and put it on by your allowance, which, if you should, the fault would not scape censure, nor the redresses sleep, which in a tender of a wholesome will might in their working do you that offence, which else were shame, that then necessity will call discreet proceedings.
Oh, it's round, uncle. The hedgerow fed the cuckoo so long that it had its head bit off by its young. So out went the candle and we were left darkling.
Are you our daughter?
Oh, come, sir. I would you would make use of that good wisdom, whereof I know you are fraught, and put away these dispositions which of late transform you from what you rightly are.
Be not an arse now when the cart draws the horse. Whoop, Jack, I love thee.
Doth any here know me? 'Tis not Lear. Doth Lear walk Thus speak, thus where are his eyes? Whether his notion weakening, his discerning's lethargy not waking. It's not so. Who is it that can tell me who I am?
Dear Shadow,
And I would learn this, for by the marks of sovereignty, knowledge, and reason, I would be false persuaded that I had daughters.
which they will make an obedient father.
Your name, fair gentlewoman?
This admiration, sir, is much of the saviour of other your new pranks. I do beseech you to understand my purposes aright. As you are old and reverend, you should be wise. But here do you keep 100 knights and squires, men so disordered, so debauched and bold that this, our court infected with their manners, shows like a riotous inn, epicureanism, and lust make it more like a tavern or a brothel than a grace palace. The shame itself doth speak for instant remedy. Be then desired by her to take the thing she begs, a little disquantity to your train, and the remainder, that shall still depend. To be such men as may besort your age, to know themselves, and you.
Darkness and devils! Saddle my horses, call my train together. Degenerate bastard, I'll not trouble thee, yet have I left a daughter.
You strike my people, and your disordered rabble make servants of their betters.
Woe that too late repents. Oh, sir, are you come, sir? Is this your will? Speak, sir. Ingratitude, thou marble-hearted fiend, more hideous than thou showest in a child, than the sea monster.
Pray, sir, be patient.
Detested kite, thou liest. My train are men of choice and rarest parts, that of all particulars of duty know, and in the most exact regard support the worship of their name. Oh, most small fault. How ugly didst thou in Cordelia show? More than a child. Wrenched my frame of nature from the fixed place, drew from heart all love and added to the gall. Oh, Lear, 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 beat at this gate and let thy folly in thy judgment out. Go, go, my people.
My lord, I am guiltless as I am ignorant. What hath moved you?
It may be so, my lord. Here, nature. Here, dear goddess, here. Suspend thy purpose, and if thou didst intend to make this creature fruitful, then into her womb convey sterility. Dry up in her organs of increase, and from her derogate body never spring a babe to honor her. And if she must teem, create her a child of spleen, that it may live, and be a thwart of disnatured torment unto her. Let it stamp wrinkles in her brow of youth, with cadent tears fret channels in her cheeks. Turn all her mother's pains and benefits into laughter and content, so that she may feel how sharper than a serpent's tooth it is to have a thankless child. Away! Away!
Now, gods that we adore, whereof comes this?
Never afflict yourself to know the cause, but let his disposition give the scope that dotage gives it.
What?
Oh,
50 of my followers are to clap within a fortnight.
What's the matter, sir?
I'll tell thee. Life and death, I am ashamed that thou hast the power to shake my manhood thus. These hot tears which break from me perforce should make thee worth them. Blossom fogs upon you. The intensive woundings of a father's curse pierce every sense of thee. Old fond eyes, beweep this cause again, I'll pluck ye out and cast you with the waters you lose to temper clay. Yea, it has come to this. Let it be so, yet have I left a daughter who I am sure is kind and comfortable, and when she hears this of thee, with her nails she'll flay thy wolfish visage, and thou shalt find I shall resume the shape thou dost think I have cast off forever. Thou shalt. I warrant thee!
When shall we come to the top of that same hill?
We do climb up it now. Look how we labour.
Methinks the ground is even.
Horrible steep. Ha! Do you hear the sea?
No! Truly!
Why then, your other senses grown perfect by your eye's anguish.
So may it be, indeed. Methinks thy voice is altered, and thou speakst in better phrase and matter than thou didst.
You're much deceived. In nothing am I changed, but in my garments.
Thinks you're better spoken.
Come on, sir. Here's the place. Stand still. How fearful and dizzy 'tis to cast one's eyes so low. The crows and choughs that wing the midway air show scarce so gross as beetles. Halfway down hangs one that gathers samphire. Dreadful trade. Methinks he seems no bigger than his head. The fishermen that walk upon the beach appear like mice. And yon tall anchoring bark diminished to a boy almost too small for sight. The murmuring surge that on the unnumbered idle pebbles chafes cannot be heard so high. I'll look no more, lest my brain turn and the deficient sight topple down headlong.
Set me where you stand.
Give me your hand. You are now within a foot of the extreme verge. For all beneath the moon would I not leap upright.
Let go my hand. Here, friend, is another purse. In it a jewel well worth all man's taking. Fairies and gods prosper it with thee. Go thou further off. Bid me farewell and let me hear thee going.
Now, fare you well, good sir.
All my heart.
Why I do trifle thus with his despair is done to cure it.
You mighty gods, in this world I do renounce, and in your sight shake patiently my great affliction off. I could bear it longer, and not fall to quarrel with your great opposer's wills. My snuff and loathed part of nature should burn itself out. If Edgar live, oh, bless you. Now, fellow, fare thee well.
God, sir, farewell. And yet, I know not how conceit may rob the treasury of life when life itself yields to the theft. Had he been merry thoughts, by this had thought been past. Alive or dead? Ho you, sir! Friend, speak! Thus he might pass, yet he revives. What are you, sir?
Away, and let me die!
Hadst thou been aught but gossamer, feathers, air? So many fathom down precipitating, thou'st shivers like an egg, but thou dost breathe, hast heavy substance, bleeds not, speaks, art sound, thy life's a miracle, speak yet again.
Oh, have I fallen or no?
From the dread summit of the chalky bourne, look up a height, the shrill gorge lark cannot be seen nor heard, do but look up.
Alack, I have no eyes. Is wretchedness deprived that benefit to end itself by death? 'Twas yet some comfort when misery could beguile the tyrant's rage and frustrate his proud will.
Give me your arm. Up. So, how is it? Feel you your legs? You stand?
Too well, too well.
This is above all strangeness. Upon the crown of the cliff, what thing were it which parted from thee?
A poor Unfortunate beggar.
As I stood here below, methought his eyes were two full moons. He had 1,000 noses, horns whelked and wave like the enrigid sea. It was some fiend. Therefore, thou happy father, think that the clearest gods that do make them honours on men's impossibilities have preserved thee.
I do remember now. Henceforth I'll bear affliction till it do cry out itself, enough, enough, and die. The thing you speak of, I took it for a man. Often would say, the fiend, the fiend. It led me to that place.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, can I ask the actors on both sides to come out and take a bow?
Look at them.
So on the Tampere side, we have Santry, Nicholas and Helly, and we have Steve, Lauren and Jack. Obviously performing, take a bow.
Oh.
Obviously performing under less than ideal conditions because we've had wildlife, we've had... and you have to remember, these guys in Tampere can also hear all of this. Last night, Matthias, who's the technician over on that side, said, it sounds like you've got a waterfall running right beside your mic. And I went, yeah, we do have a waterfall running right beside our microphone. So just any questions you would like to ask the actors or anybody on either side about what you've just seen? Or not, or lunch. I'll just so that the Tampere guys can hear it. Do you find it hard to interact with between the screen and the stage on both sides?
I think
Well,
performance-wise.
it depends. It's something, I think we've discovered that it's something between camera acting and theater acting, because it's, you could ask same question that, is it hard to, if you're acting in a movie, that is it hard to convince your love to camera? I mean, this is the, acting is a business of make-believe and illusion, so we can imagine things too, and then it becomes easy. Well, yeah.
And from your angle, are we small or are they bigger than you? Because you're bigger than us here. Much bigger.
You're quite small back there. You're like...
I should
That's
say
not the
that
first time.
usually whenever we have the system, both rooms are identical. So usually whenever we work, when we work in rehearsal, and we've had dance classes, we've had yoga classes, we had a skiing lesson a couple of weeks ago, and we've had vocal warm-ups and we've had singing classes and all kinds of things. But the reason it kind of works normally is that both rooms are identical, and the camera is usually very finely tuned, and we have speakers behind the screen, and the room is mic'd up so that the voice appears to come from the other actor. And a lot of time is spent just kind of tuning eye contact. I mean, obviously we're using a completely different system and we're outside, and obviously this room does not resemble that room that you see behind us in any way, shape or form. So I think today it's a bit more difficult as well for the actors on both sides to work, because we've got ambient noise coming in. We've obviously had a very angry bird, which is very apt for Finland. Outside. I think that for the next performance I might see if I can hire a shotgun and just stand here to try and take out some wildlife. But it's...
Tom, no.
Spoil sport. Any other questions?
If no one else has any, I have one more. This technical setup, you've pioneered it? Or is it something that you can do, or other actors or other stage performance production houses can set up?
It's repurposed technology. So, for example, this piece of equipment here is usually found in boardrooms. So people have boardroom meetings with it. It's fairly common. What is unique about it is the combination of kind of stage design, and we blew it up to enormous size. It has to be configured in a certain way. At the moment, only people with a lot of bandwidth can get any real benefit out of it, because if usually in a university we have very, very high bandwidth and we can put it on a separate circuit. Obviously, if you have a firewall, if you have a virus checker, everything is going to slow it down. So there's an awful lot of testing between both campuses and both venues, and even between here and Tampere for today. But you're always going to get latency. So it's achievable. It's repurposed technology rather than any special technology. Finland side? Yeah.
Well said.
Question over there.
We've talked about the latency earlier, and I'm wondering about the technical question is, because we're running out of IPv4, and if everybody can have a conference system like that, are we heading to IPv6 through this new technology stuff? Thank you.
Should point out I'm a theatre director. And I use guys like Craig and John here, who actually do all our networking for us, and on the other side, Matthias and various other people. So we tend to, we think of the crazy projects. Other people actually have to actualize these crazy projects. I mean, there are a lot of very different systems. We're very interested in fact, our Finnish colleagues have been using a system called a Nimbra, which is a very effective, it's a media server as well. So there are many different ways, and there are many competing systems. There's a system called Lola, which is mainly used for music, low latency audio. There's UltraGrid. We saw the online orchestra earlier this morning, which is a wonderful project which actually uses software to kind of cope with latency. But our actors kind of cope with latency in the same way they would if they were to rehearse in a small rehearsal room and then suddenly move to a larger stage. So latency is always going to be an issue. We can try and minimize it as much as possible and try and get as high quality video and audio. But it takes a lot of time and tuning. But I don't know where we are in terms of getting that far, unless Matthias knows.
Let me know. Ask him.
Oh.
What was the question?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Because we're running out of IPv4 IP addresses, and are we using, or are we heading to IPv6 in the future, or now we're already using IPv6?
I don't really know how to answer that. Of course, yeah, we are on yeah, before, I don't really know how to answer that.
Yeah, I think you've managed to stump us all today.
But I think I think the future for this kind of online working, at least at the performing live performing arts, is in the fast fiber connection, straight fiber connections, and not in IP connections.
Yeah.
I think that's the answer. Yeah.
Yeah. Any other questions? Oh, one more.
I just wonder, do you use this in your teaching in universities?
We've been using this for the last 3 years now. So, I mean, in reality, we don't often use it for performance. We're actually very interested in live performance. But what we've been trying to do is to see, obviously, when you travel to another country to take students to work together, it costs a lot of money because you have to fly them out there and you have to pay for accommodation and you have to feed them, occasionally feed them. But we're still very interested in actors performing together live. So we've been using the system to see how much we can actually achieve online with it. So, for example, these guys all performed together live last year. But we only had a week of live rehearsals. So we tried to see how much we could achieve online. Obviously, people can't kiss, they can't fight, they can't touch in this. But we found that the screen actually makes you very creative. When we worked on 12th Night 2 weeks ago with Helsinki, there's a scene where someone has to drop a note and another character has to pick it up. In a normal rehearsal room, you don't even have to think about that. With this space, you suddenly have to become very creative about these little staging problems. And sometimes kind of coming up with the answer can be a lot of fun. So I think the restrictions actually make the rehearsal process very focused, and they make it a lot of fun because all of a sudden students and actors and directors and technicians all of a sudden have to think outside their comfort zone, and all of a sudden what is something that you're used to doing on a day-to-day basis suddenly becomes very unusual. Anybody on the Finnish side want to?
Yeah, and the problem with Finland is that we are quite up north, and we are surrounded by two things, sea and Russia. So we're kind of here, so international connections for us are really our lifeline. So we always have to travel quite heavily. So that's why we want to develop all kinds of online tools to get us, with more international cooperation, especially with the rest of the Europe and the US.
And similarly for us, it's just really good. I mean, in a world where we kind of tend to be politically shrinking and politically kind of closing off to other people, it's really nice to kind of have people work together and meet together, and even if it's virtually. I think a problem with some online learning, it can be quite impersonal, but with this you do get the sense you're sharing a space with people, which is really good fun, and of course the apps allow them then to work together.
I mean, Tom, I just kind of expect them to jump out of the screen. But guys, as we're coming to the end of the session, I'd just like to shake your hand. Would you like to come and... Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Great. That was fantastic. Thanks so much, Tom. We'll see you later. So there is going to be another performance at 5:30 back here for the other people who missed it. But that was really quite a gripping performance. Thank you, the team from Coventry. That was amazing. And having that sort of overlay, that digital connection I've never seen that done before. So wonderful stuff. A big round of applause from the team from Coventry.